Hello, everyone. I am Storyteller. Thank you for visiting this peaceful place. I know you are looking for something soothing to help you fall asleep, and I am here to accompany you. If you enjoy, please give me a like and subscribe, and let me know where you are from. Thank you. The Selfie of Dorian Gray. Picture this. Dorian Gray, 25, gorgeous bachelor of the Brighton, gay scene handsome, F Queen slay. Picture his blazing blue eyes, set above aquiline nose, and a rosebud pout of a mouth. Cheeks ready to blush under the lick of glitter from a makeup brush. Deep gold locks styled to perfection. Forehead wide and empty as a summer sky. Beauty not brains image as everything skin deep. Picture this. Dorian perched on the sleek leather and chrome of a bar stool in the poison ivy. Margarita in one hand and phone in the other. Twin totems of the god of the gay bar. Picture his thumb hitting the camera app. Muscle memory leads him there always, and hovering now over the shutter button. Picture him pausing for a fragment of time to check the image on the phone screen. It is, as always, empty perfection. Click. There it is. The button is pressed. The shutter closes. The selfie is taken. And all around him, life continues in the poison ivy. The disco ball spins. Lady Gaga roars through over-amplified speakers. A drag queen at the bar wipes lipstick and white wine from a red twist of a mouth. But for Dorian Gray, life has stopped. Here, now, in this moment, the moment the selfie was taken. Live in the moment. Look, good, feel good. Self-love. Because, as he licks the salt rim of his margarita glass from perfectly glossed lips, Dorian realizes that he has taken the best selfie ever. What is it about this selfie that makes it so exquisite? Is it the background of dancers blurring to hot whirls of color? Is it the shards of light from the disco ball falling like a shower of diamonds across the face? No, it is the face itself, caught at the very moment of its blooming, like a young rose, beautiful. Dorian knows, the instant he sees the selfie, that there, right there in front of him, swimming in a million pixels, is the great truth he's searched for his whole life. Beauty. What would you like? The barman asks, plucking an olive from a discarded martini glass and popping it into his lipsticked mouth. I'd like, says Dorian. I'd like it if this selfie aged instead of me. You what? The barman hollers over Gaga's jagged vocals. I'd like another margarita, Dorian says. But Dorian's wish came true. Picture this. Years later, Dorian is flicking through his phone when up pops the selfie. Throwback. Memories. 10-year challenge. Picture Dorian, 35, and still on the cusp of blooming like a young rose, locking eyes with the image of his 25-year-old self. but not the image as he left it 10 years previously. No. For etched into the selfie, right there in front of him, are the tide lines of age, wrinkles beginning to show on the forehead, the skin wilting around the aquiline nose, twin creases either side of the rosebud pout of a mouth. Dorian sees, too, a certain sneer, a certain curl of the lip, not present in the original selfie #bitch face, #mean girl, #judging you. Was it the many times he'd put others down on the basis of their looks? The many ugly comments he'd made on another's ugliness that had written that sneer into the selfie? Did the curl of the lip evidence a life lived in selfishness, selfie stick in hand, and judgment in mind? Dorian swipes off the selfie, a cold sweat of horror breaking out on his preternaturally youthful brow. He tries putting a softening filter on the selfie, hoping to erase those harsh lines. But the app glitches and increases the contrast on the image, only etching those lines deeper into brow and cheek. Like a Narcissus staring into troubled waters, Dorian recoils in disgust from the sight of his own image. Oh, not feeling cute. Bad hair day. He clicks off the app, fingers barely shaking, and runs to the bathroom. Looking into the perfect circle of the stylish chrome-rimmed mirror, home decor interior design, trendsetter, Dorian scours his face for wrinkles, blemishes, imperfections. But he finds, as always, the same strange youth, the same pure beauty that is synonymous with his reputation in gay bars, from the pier to the marina. Hands clammy on the cold porcelain of the sink, Dorian exhales and spits from his perfect mouth the salivation that warns him he will vomit. Leaning over the toilet, he pukes onto the perfect white porcelain, loops of saliva falling from his face like hot tears of shame and disgrace. Dorian commits himself to a life of velvety pleasures and empty aesthetics. He progresses his modeling career at the London fashion shows. Strike, a pose, model life, catwalk. In his spare time, he buys designer handbags in the lanes and showcases his latest outfits in the bars of Kemp Town. At night, the selfie haunts his dreams, mouth twisted in hideous grin, cheek disgraced by defects, brow wrecked by wrinkles, a face defaced by imperfections. The years pass in a blur of nights spent knocking back shots in Bulldog, Cheers, down at happy hour. But still, Dorian's face stays young. He courts a beautiful drag queen, name of Sybil, dreams of the lavish wedding they'll have. In bars, they sip sex on the beach together and rate the other twinks on their looks in loud whispers. Roast me, 2 out of 10. Fugly. In dark bedrooms with drawn curtains, they smoke Tina with hookers and dropouts. At the nudist beach, they work on their tans, but soon Dorian and Sybil are fighting. Conversation withering to ridicule and cheap digs. Picture this. The couple at 2 a.m. on St. James Street, roaring insults and comebacks at each other with beer-soaked breath, like baying stags. "You're a right bitch," Dorian screams. "A nasty, cheap, tranny whore." He flings his pint glass to the gutter and struts off into the night. Picture this. Dorian is 45, and as his age has increased, so too has his reputation for youthful good looks. He launches his own line of face cream, skincare, anti-aging, results. He proposes to Sybil. They break it off. They get back together. They break it off again. The night they call off the engagement for the second time, Dorian sits somber at the dressing table in his bedroom. He stares into the vanity mirror, his face flawless, even in the bright white light of the bare bulbs, searching for flaws, any clue as to why Sybil left him. But he finds, as always, perfection. The selfie haunts his thoughts like an unwelcome ghost. He pulls out his phone and clicks on the photo app. He pulls up the selfie and finds it more hideous than ever. Crow's feet at the corners of the eyes, scoops of black shadow underneath them, a complex network of wrinkles deep cut into the face. And still, that hideous, exaggerated sneer, like the face of a horrible puppet. "It's just a selfie," he says. "It doesn't look like me. I cannot look that bad, surely." Reassuring himself, Dorian decides to take action. Why let a selfie ruin your night? Why let a photo curb your self-esteem? Quickly, before he changes his mind, Dorian clicks on the bin icon. A message flashes up on the screen. Delete photo. He pauses for just a fraction of a second, shaking finger, hovering over the button, and presses it. Picture this. Sybil, the next day, hungover and contrite and missing her boyfriend, mounting the stairs to Dorian's flat in her stilettos, heel clicks echoing in the otherwise silent stairwell. She knocks on the door. Silence. She fumbles in her rhinestoned handbag for the spare key and lets herself in. Inside the flat, everything is in its usual perfect order. Dorian's designer coats hang in the entranceway. A half-drunk bottle of Chablis sits on the marble worktop, illuminated like a yellow jewel in the beam of a kitchen spotlight. The Dyson tower fan blasts out cool air in the lounge. 2,000 watts, but 700 cubic meters per hour. Ultimate cooling technology. It blasts a jet of cold across Sybil's fish-netted legs, like an icy river or a ghost passing through her. Dorian? Silence still. She checks everywhere, and letting herself into the last room, the bedroom, she finds it empty. She pulls back the bed sheets. Nothing. But seeing the door of the walk-in wardrobe ajar, She opens it to find, picture this, Dorian hanging by his neck from the rail. At first, she doesn't recognize him, for the swollen, purple face of the dead man is ugly, carved with deep wrinkles, pocked with blemishes, the lip curled up in a final expression of disdain. By his side, there lies his phone. Gorephans, Mummy and Daddy left me. They went away and left me on my own in this scary place with sharp and spiky stones that stab my feet. I don't want to cry on this beach, if it is a beach, because the only sound is that of pebbles crunching beneath my toes, and my voice sounds weird, like an echo. There's nothing to see except the wispy gray fog that folds around me. It feels like I'm by the sea because of the stones and that disgusting, salty smell. But I can't hear any waves or people splashing. If it is the seaside, a boring seaside with a stony beach, I don't know how I got here. I remember being with Mummy and Daddy. We went for a picnic and stopped at the toy store. Daddy bought me a brand new cat plush, Miss Mittens. At least she's here to keep me company. If I didn't have her, I think I would really cry, not because of the stones, or the fog, or the smell, but because Mummy and Daddy left me. Why would they bring me here? Why would they go home without me? When are they coming back? I don't understand. The next day, Mummy and Daddy left me, and I don't know where they are. I'm crying now, because I've been lost on this beach for so long. And when I see the woman float out of the fog with a smile and a big fluffy blanket, I know she'll help. I know, Tilly. I'm sorry I'm late. It took me some time to locate you. How do you know my name? I ask the woman as she bundles me in her blanket. I've been in my night dress on this seaside with no sea, and the fog has been getting frosty, so it's nice to be wrapped in something warm. Did Mummy and Daddy send you? Not exactly, Tilly. Mummy and Daddy are sorry they couldn't get to you themselves, but I'm here now, and I'll take care of you. Come along. Let's get you someplace safe. Home? My home, Tilly. For a while. Don't worry. There are other girls like you there. I'm sure you'll make friends. And you can rest while we figure this out. The woman in the old-fashioned dress that has lacy trim around the collar puts her arm around me, and we start to walk back the way she came, stones crunching and crumbling beneath her fancy boots and my frozen toes. I have lots of questions, but I don't know which to ask first, so I say nothing and think about what she said. New home? Other girls? Figure this out? My face feels funny, I say, and my eyelids grow heavy. Your face is beautiful, the woman answers, but I don't reply. Another day, Mummy and Daddy left me, and the house went on fire. That's what Mabel Montgomery is trying to say, in a roundabout way, like I'm a baby. But I know she's wrong. There's no way Mummy and Daddy would leave me alone. And there's no way our house would go on fire because it's a new house with fire alarms and everything. And there's no way I died because I'm sitting in an armchair in an office wearing a stiff blue dress that was laid out for me when I woke up, in a bed with tall posts and a lace canopy. I don't know why she's doing this. I thought she was nice when she brought me here, to this mansion with dozens of rooms and maids and girls. But now I think she might be trying to kidnap me. Maybe she did that to the others. I haven't had a chance to talk to anyone yet, because I just got up today after sleeping for a really long time. But sleeping for a long time is not the same as dying. I know it's hard, the woman with the silver hair says. You need time, but I'm here for you. We will work together to get you through this. And then, when you're ready, we'll find someone nice to take care of you. She places a hand on my shoulder and smiles, but I don't trust her. Not anymore, because it's a lie. This manor, the beach, the fog, a lie, or a dream, or a nightmare. What else can explain the face staring back at me from the mirror as Mabel leads me from her office? The horrible, burnt face of a monster that couldn't be me, because I didn't die in a fire. Yet another day. You're Tilly, right? I'm Jessica. I hope you're doing okay. I know it's a lot to take in, finding yourself here. I know it hurts. A lot. But you'll survive. It's easy for her to say. The teenager in the dress that's the same style as mine, except green. Her face isn't scarred and disgusting. Her hands aren't marbled and shiny. She has long blonde hair like I did. She's pretty. I heard what happened. It must have been so scary. I know how scared I was when I was drowning, but I can't imagine what it must have been like, too. She tries to be brave and look at my face while she talks, but the look of pity in her eyes is worse than the look of disgust I see in others, and I hate it. I don't remember, all right? Can you go away? I want to be on my own. Sure. I just thought you might want to talk. I know it isn't easy coming to terms with things. We've all been through it. You'll see a lot of girls like you, keeping to themselves. You'll see girls with injuries and wounds they're not ready to let go of. You'll see others like me. But none of us had it easy. So take your time. It will get better, I promise. I said, leave me alone. I surprise myself by shouting. I hop up from the window seat, abandoning my view of the fog, and push the girl away before storming across the polished wooden floorboards and racing up the staircase to the bedrooms. Bedrooms occupied by girls, aged 6 to 18. Girls I don't want to talk to. Girls I can't even look at. Some of them have missing limbs. Some of them have cuts and horrible wounds. Some of them have holes. But the hardest ones to look at are the ones like Jessica, who look complete like nothing happened, because my body is burnt and away from a fire, and it's not fair. The 5th day, or more. Hey, I'm Carly. Seen you around, but figured you wouldn't want to talk yet. Enjoying Miss Mabel Montgomery's orphanage for late lamented lassies? Or, as I call it, the Gorephanage. If you're lonely, you can move in with me. I won't bug you about adapting, and I don't want to know your tragic past. I have a spare bunk since my friend Delilah sold out and got adopted. The traitor. I've seen this girl around too, sulking and being mean to the maids. She's another damaged girl, like me. She has a gash on her neck, one that seems to laugh as she speaks, and purple bruises on her legs and arms, which are visible because she isn't wearing a dress. She's got jeans shorts on and a t-shirt with a picture of Taylor Swift, both of them covered in reddish-brown stains. I guess that's what she was wearing when she got here. I wish I'd kept my nightdress and hadn't sold out. Maybe, I reply, which is a surprise. I haven't spoken to anyone in days, though plenty have tried to talk to me. Mabel, the maids, various girls, mostly the complete ones, though some of the gruesome ones too. I wasn't in the mood, but there's something about this freckle-faced girl with the ponytail and chipped front tooth that makes me feel comfortable. Have you been here long? Long enough to know how to get on Miss Mabel's tits and how to scare the shit out of the ghost mothers. Want to come to my room? We can hatch some devious plans. Carly is about my age, but she uses lots of grown-up words, and it makes me nervous, but also excited. I never had a friend like her, and she isn't looking at me funny like the others, even the ones with missing limbs. So I nod and smile for the first time in ages. Leaving my room, I look over the banister down into the foyer of the mansion. Miss Montgomery is there with Jessica, who hasn't spoken to me since I told her to go away. She's holding the hand of a person I haven't seen before, a tall, pale stick of a woman in a tweed outfit. Miss Montgomery opens the door, and wisps of fog sneak in as Jessica looks up and waves. I don't wave back. I see the skinny woman follow Jessica's gaze and gasp as her eyes fall on me. Shocked by my appearance, I stick my tongue out and waggle my hands alongside my crusty face, then hurry after Carly, avoiding Mabel's disappointed look. A later day, Mabel tells me Carly is a rebellious girl who's struggling to accept her own passing, so it would be better if I talked to someone else, so I can process and come to terms. Well, what if I don't want to process how my parents left me to die? What if I don't want to come to terms with being burnt alive and looking like a monster? Carly says, I don't have to. Carly says, I can wear my scars like a badge of honor. And if Mabel and her maids and the ghost mothers who come to replace the kids they left behind in the real world don't like it, then tough. Mothers who leave their children are the worst, even if they do it by dying. Why would I want a new mother anyway? A dead one? They don't care about me. They can't even look at me. Every time one visits, I see how they turn away from me and Carly, and Lucinda, and Selena, and Flare. Because we're ugly, burnt or cut, or missing important pieces. We're Gorephans, and nobody wants a Gorephan, even if they might say they do. Fake smiles, telling me I'm beautiful, telling me my soul is beautiful. I don't give a shit about my soul. I want my face. That's why it's fun when Carly tricks them, waits till they get close, then spurts a fountain of blood from the gash on her neck. So funny seeing them jump. That's why I let her teach me how to summon my own death echo, so I can scare the shit out of ghost mothers by bursting into flames. It gets rid of them pretty fast, and it gets on Miss Montgomery's tits, and I get to spend more time with the Gorephans, the ones that didn't sell out, like Bambi, who took the rope marks off her neck the other day and went away. A traitor, but she'll see. When she gets abandoned again, she'll see it's a waste of time trusting a mother. A bad day. Carly isn't talking. I think she's depressed. Mabel brought a bunch of ghost mothers to the Gorephanage the other day and assembled us girls to be inspected. Not that she used that word. She said there had been an influx of parents to the beach due to a global pandemic, and it was an opportunity to place a few girls. But Carly said we were just being inspected, and of course, it was only girls with no obvious injuries who got adopted. Sure, a few mothers tried to talk to me and pretended they didn't notice my scars, but I knew they were just trying to make me feel better. Why would they pick me when they could have a complete? Why would they want a girl with a face like burnt toast? Carly lost it after the 4th or 5th mother tried to hug her. She threw her head back and sprayed the biggest fountain of blood I've ever seen. It went everywhere, all over the mothers and the girls and Mabel and the maids and the floor. I didn't think it was ever going to stop. I couldn't stop laughing. Mabel had to send the mothers away, and that's when stupid Lila pushed Carly, telling her she was a selfish a-hole for ruining things for everyone else. How dare she? Why is it okay for completes to get adopted, but not Gorephans? That's not fair. I told Carly that, but she was upset and didn't want to talk. She went to the window seat to stare into the fog. She's been there for days, and I miss her. I'm lonely again. I hate it. I want to go home. The worst day. Carly's missing. Have you seen her? Carly is gone from the window seat. I checked. everywhere. The kitchen, the pantry, Lucinda and Flair's rooms, the lounge. But I can't find her, and nobody knows where she is. So I burst into Mabel's office, even though I'm not supposed to when the door's shut. Mabel is behind her desk, talking to a woman and girl who have their backs to me. A woman in jeans and a jumper, and a girl with long brown hair in an ivory dress with lace trim. One of Mabel's dresses, though I haven't seen it before. Tilly, I'm busy. Can you go to your room and wait? I'll talk to you when I finish here. The way she says it makes me think she knows something. I hesitate because I want to know what it is now. But the mother starts to turn, and I don't want to be looked at with disgust, so I back out of the room. Until the girl in the ivory dress turns, and I recognize her freckles and chipped tooth. With her hair down, and without her wound, Carly looks like a different person. A nice girl. A pretty girl. Complete. Tilly, she says, slumping her shoulders. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I don't want to hear it. She's a sellout. A traitor. Like Delilah and Bambi and Selena. Another one who's going to leave me. And this time, I can't stop my tears. It was my time, and I slam the office door shut and run upstairs. Day, whatever. Mabel talks and talks, but I don't hear. Ghost mothers visit, but I stay in bed. Flair and Lucinda try to cheer me up with their death echoes. Flair pops off her head and juggles with it, while Lucinda pulls out her guts and ties them in the shape of a dog. I don't care. Mummy and Daddy left me. Carly left me. Even Miss Mittens disappeared. Why does nobody want me? Why do I exist? I want to die, but I'm already dead. I'm dead. I am dead. A much later day. No, I don't want to stay here. I want to go home. Miss Montgomery's door slams back against the wall, startling me from my fog watching and bringing my eyes to the 6 or 7-year-old girl who runs from the office to the large double doors of the manor. I want my mom. Let me out. 2 maids intercept the girl, whose long blonde hair is bloody and matted around a hole in her head that shows her brain, whose dungarees and shirt are torn and stained. Go away. Don't touch me. Mabel is in her doorway, arms crossed, watching. Just another day at the office. Where's my mom? What did you do to her? The girl lashes out and knocks a vase off a tall wooden table. Leave me alone. The girl pushes a maid away roughly. Where's my mom? I want her. The girl escapes the second maid, not looking where she's going, runs into me before I can step aside. She looks up, angry, spittle flying from her lips. When she sees I'm just a girl, her expression changes. Have you seen my mom? Do you live here? Fear on her face now, terror in her eyes. Temporarily, I reply, and drop down on one knee. It's a place to be, while we wait. For what? To go home? Sort of. What's your name? Alice. Okay, Alice. I know you're confused. and it will be hard for you to understand why you're here. But it's a safe place. It's okay to be angry, but you can make friends, and those friends will help you come to terms with shut up, the fear gone, the anger back. She thinks I'm another of them because I sound like Mabel. Mom, where are you? She breaks away from me, runs to the staircase and up. The other girls standing at the top, drawn by the commotion. She sees Lucinda and Rebecca with her face of glass shards and screams, drops to the floor, covers her head. A maid secures her, bundles her up, and carries her crying the rest of the way to a room. A bed, a dress. I realize Alice looked me in the eye when I was talking. She didn't flinch or try to get away. I stand and take a step to a wall-mounted mirror. There, staring back at me, is Tilly. Scars remain, but not as monstrous as before. My arms and hands remain pink and shiny, but I recognize myself. In the reflection, Mabel smiles as she closes her door. I still have a long way to go, but maybe, like Jessica said, I will survive, and so will Alice. Tenise, time of contact, 15:05:01, impact force, 6,000 newtons, serve speed, 135 petras, distance traveled, 25.5 meters, angle, 60 degrees to horizontal, velocity, 82 s, required service. Return response, 10 paces, left moving forward, 30 degrees, commence swing at 15,503. Apply 5,500 newtons of pressure in a topspin forehand shot with an upward trajectory of 35 degrees to the horizontal. That's what the voice of the AI vocoder instructs inside me head for the umpteenth time this session. And who am I to argue? It's not like I'm important. Not like I was ever a champ, much as I came close. Nah, I'm just a chump, now more than ever, prancing around the ryegrass on me hydraulic legs, returnin' the volleys of the hottest new prodigy on the block, tailor-made to appeal to Gen Xer. In today's case, in this exhibition matches case, in this latest exercise in humiliation of a former tennis pro, now referred to as a legacy player, but nevertheless expected to lie down and be shamed by an AI-driven, Tekla-encased wonderkind designed for clicks and likes. Me opponent is a silver-plated female with a digital display for a face that portrays flutterin' anime eyes and a head of artificial dreadlocks. Silver sequined tennis dress that just about covers a polished butt. Pink Bandita's solar-powered shoes that transfer energy into speed through soul-based combustion. Soul-based. Cause that's the only soul that robot has. The only soul this game has anymore. Since AI took over in the 50s, machines became the players du jour, and humans abandoned the game because they couldn't compete. Well, the smart ones did. the ones who didn't sell out. The losers still chasing that win. The stubborn didn't know what else to do with their lives after tennis, morons like me. And now I'm here in Wimbledon, facing off against Tenise Inc.'s latest creation, the embarrassingly named, I don't want to say it, don't even want to think it, but I can't help it, 'cause it's painted in chrome letters on her arm, and she screams it every time I throw a point. Tenise, 10, ice, get it? Like Denise, but with cause, yeah, that's the best one of the biggest promoters in modern day sport, or neural integrated sport, as they call it, could come up with. Anyway, here I am, fulfilling an obligation of the ill-advised contract I entered into when Tenise didn't want to sponsor me for tournaments anymore, pretending I'm here for a comeback, the 4th this year if anyone's counting, while in actual fact here to make Tenise famous. Jesus. I still can't believe someone thought Tenise was a clever idea. And it took them 8 years to come up with it. But if it keeps the fans following the sport, if it keeps the heart of tennis beating long after badminton and golf and frickin' darts have breathed their last, that's the important thing, right? Physical sports for humans have been going the way of the chariot race for decades thanks to VR. And nobody cares, except those of us who have it in our DNA. And all we had to do to keep playing was mutilate our bodies with mechanical limbs and armor plates. Tenise-controlled neural uplinks, computerized smart eyes, and carbide jaws, fiberglass ribs, atomic-powered hearts, and a willingness to do what we're told. Simple, right? What self-respecting tennis pro wouldn't want to go that extra mile to keep competing? And competing I am, if you can call it that. So as the vocoder says, 10 paces forward at 30 degrees, swing at 1503, 5,500 newtons of pressure in a topspin forehand shot with a trajectory of 35 degrees it is. And there's the contact. And there's the return at a whopping 104. And there's Tenise, moving to intercept in line with guidance from her interface. Dreadlocks whipping, skirt lifting, metal ass glinting in the sun, while her polymer crystal-based titties jut out in front like guided rockets. Of course, she moves perfectly to return the shot. The inbuilt speaker where her mouth should be screeching another tirade. Think you're gonna cease Tenise's piece? Try again, stinky. Old has-been McEnroe. It's McEnroe. Fuck's sake. If that bitch says McEnroe one more time, I swear to Christ, I'll thwack. Tenise swings and volleys. You'll what, Mike? Pull a stunt like your namesake from last century? I don't think so, says Nora, me manager, the other annoying voice inside me head. Thwack! I follow instructions and lob the ball back. Oh, And did you forget about matching the speed of Tenise's shots? You're 5 in a 3 by faster than her. Stick to the playbook. Thwack. Tenise with some digital gruntin'. What's the matter, Nora? Can the new dolly not take the heat? Oh, she can take it. I had her set to slow for you. Thwack. Me, without so much as a pant. But if you want to go faster, pile it on. I spit through diamond implant teeth. You spent all this money powering me up. May as well let me employ it. Thwack. Tenise. Show off, you mean. Like an old boy trying to stay relevant. Tenise. Ball velocity cap disengage. Smarmy bitch. I'm more relevant after 40 years in this game than any O10 NIS's androids, like Bjorn Bot, or Android Agassi, or Robot Federer. What happened to them when the novelty wore off? And don't get me started on Steffi graphics. Unless she's considered relevant for popping a gasket and decapitating people with her racket. The chip in me brain tells me how to return the ball that's rocketing towards me, and I dutifully oblige, channeling more energy into me piston-powered, omnidirectional shoulder. Thwack! 150, says Nora. Fuck me. You're asking for it. Rebellion is frowned upon. The board won't be happy. Like they weren't happy about Steffi? That happened on your watch, right? Hope I don't get you in trouble. Thwack. Tenise whoopin'. 155 return. Fuck off, Mike. Don't remind me. Steffi wasn't ready. I was forced to play her. Because S-Port were debuting Virus Williams. It was a PR disaster. We barely survived. Thwack! At a speed of 107 fair dump. I send back the ball, and fanboys in the audience boo at the stinky old man droid who dared think he could take on their idol. But that's okay. I didn't really think it. I'm not here to win. I'm just here for the paycheck. To do what 10 NIS need. Promote their new star. Increase her follower base. Raise revenue for the future of the sport. But nobody cares about that. Not like I did as an up-and-comin', then a contender, then a pro and almost a champ. Even when I failed in 6 finals, lost me edge, dropped out of the rankings, and was relegated to the local leagues, it didn't matter. I loved tennis. It was all I knew. And I wanted to win. Just once. Even when the robots took over. I couldn't let it lie. Couldn't do what Megan said and quit. Fuck that, I said. I'll compete till I win or I die. Even if it means modifying me body so I can enter the robot leagues. 'Cause flesh and blood didn't cut it anymore. Not with the greater stakes. With robots taking each other's arms and legs off, punching holes in each other for the pleasure of fools. Yeah, McEnroe had to stay in the game, even when Megan left, 'cause I became a freak. And now look at me, a meme, a salesman, a phony. Thwack! Tenise returns the ball and cavorts, shouting, "Take a piece of Tenise and decease." What's with these poems, Nora? They don't make any sense. Not my idea. Heads up, Mike. Coming at ya on autopilot. Following instructions. I move, swing, strike with even more power. Tenise cranked it up to 160. I hit it back at 165. Ugh. Board aren't happy, Mike. Told ya. There's a termination contract for you to sign after you finish this set. Thwack. Duck, Macanrobo. Tenise strips the fleece from the geese. 170. One more game after this to give Tenise a 6-0 finish in her debut appearance. You should slow down. You've got an old Model A heart. They're volatile if they overheat. Thwack. 175. Back at the missile-titted bimbot. Beads of sweat on me forehead. One of the few human parts of me left. Haven't felt that in a while. It's nice. Okay, you're not listening. Time you lose your jaw, Mikey. And maybe break an ankle when you fall. Thwack. Still 40-15 to Tenise, but Tenise will increase. This is the bit that wrecks me, Noodle. Having to let myself be torn apart. 'Cause that's what the peeps wants to see. Destruction and mayhem. Players busted up. Pieces scattered. It's all right, 'cause it's just robots. Robots and crazy old bastards. Funny. After 2 years of this performatory bullcrap, in this particular match, against this particular droid, I think I've finally awoken. Maybe not, I say, as the ball careens toward me at 180. The vocoder is delivering instructions to ensure I mistime me swing. I've played this out dozens of times, always in the next to last game. Play well till then. Make it look like I might win. Then fuck up and let the newbie triumph. I'm sick of it, and I don't fancy losing today. Not to a robot named Tenise. So I ignore the vocoder and instead of deliberately missing. I try to actually send the ball back. It doesn't work. I'm old. I don't have me own reflexes. Trying to override the instructions downloaded into me brain takes effort I'm not used to. So even though I have a decent stab at it, the ball still hits me in the face. Not quite square like it should, but still with the force of a bullet. Hinges snap, carbide cracks, screws and cogs go flying as the metal jaw tears from me face, ripping muscle and skin from me cheeks as it tries to come free. I don't want to break me ankle, and I consciously try to avoid it. But the way I pirouette the ground makes it fait accompli. It doesn't hurt. The leg's not mine. It's a carbon-based replacement, filled with cables and pistons. Metallic blue, like all me robot limbs. But like a real leg, when the ankle joint snaps, it's no use. Take that Macanrobo, 4030. Did you seriously try to ignore a direct instruction from 10NIS after what I just said? Nora, in me ear. Well pissed. Tenise doing jumpin' jacks and whistling. The crowd on their feet, cheering and laughing at the old boy down on the ground. Fuck off, Nora. I've had enough. It's not easy to talk with me jaw hanging crooked. and blood from me cheeks fillin' me gob. But she seems to understand me, gargled Lingo. Oh, really? Okay. Well, I was going to let you get up before Tenise resumed play, but screw that. And I'm not sending mechanics to fix you. You can finish your career on your ass, and McEnroe, stay down. I'm warning you. I don't need 2 mechanical ankles to stand. Don't need a broken robot foot. 2 twists and a tug is all it takes to rip the thing off with me metal arm. And then I use me racket to get up, hoppin' on one leg, holdin' me severed foot in me left hand. The foot with the sock of jagged metal where it broke at the ankle. Tenise has already served by the time I'm upright. Me vocoder is silent. No information about the approachin' ball. No instruction on how to intercept. It's all gone quiet, except for Nora. I swing me racket aimlessly and miss. The ball slams into me chest at 190 mph and knocks me flyin', down on me ass again. And I carve up the ryegrass with me buttocks while the crowd point and laugh. Yeah, laugh it up, you useless gee-bags. Like any of you's fat fucks ever swung a racket. 40, love, 5 games to 0. Tenise spins, Tenise grins, Tenise wins. Stay down, McEnroe. If you sit the rest out, I'll make sure she grounds the balls around you. Not on you. I told ya. Fuck off. Do ya not? Listen. I shake me head and blood and oil geyser from me maw. Me severed foot and racket are still in me hands. The racket, like a crutch, helps me up, as wires snake through a crack in me chest plate. The shoe in me, left hand, goes to me ear, the ear with the implanted comms link. Me ear is real, flesh and blood. 1% of the 30% that's still me. And I don't care. Mike, what are you doing? I swear I'll... I don't know what she swears she'll do. 'Cause I stab the sharpest shard of metal on me foot into the space between me ear and me noggin. Plunge it deep. Scream as I saw, and I slice, blood blottin' the grass red beneath me. I carve, and I cut, and I hack, and when I've done as much as I can, I cast the shoe aside and use the pincer-like fingers of me metal-plated hand to grasp and pull, skin and cartilage tear as the ear leaves me body, and I forehand it into the audience, not cheerin' or booin' anymore, but givin' me all their attention. That's nice, but too little, too late. Sayonara. Left ear. I'll miss ya nearly as much as I missed me. Left nut. When the bastards castrated me for the fluorescent yellow ball slams into me nose, drivin' the metal shield that's screwed to it into me skull, and pulversin' the bone underneath. And that's not the worst of the damage done by the first volley in the final game of the set, which has kicked off without any warning. Nora's shut down me vocoder. Not that I care about that or the fact me right eyeball was knocked from its socket by the impact and is dangling by a fiber optic cable, swinging like a pendulum and smearing the blood from me nose all over me cheek. 15 love. Tenise defeats elites with receipts. Does anybody hear this shite? Who programmed this bitch? And why can't she read the feckin' room? Everyone's on their feet, but not a peep out of one of 'em. Robots smashing robots is fine, but when the color of the splatter is red instead of black, it's a whole different ballgame. Like when Steffi Graphics ran amok. Won't be long till they're tarring Tenise with that brush and running for cover. Thwack! I have to turn me head to seek out the incoming ball with me good eye. But it's moving so fast, over 200 mph, that it's hit me racket hand before I find it. Not just hit, but carved through, lopping it off at the wrist. 30 love. Tenise is the beast from Venice. You're no beast. You're not from Venice, and that's not how you say it. Little wonder today's the day I decided to pack it in. This really is the nadir. Down on one knee, no foot, no ear, busted nose, dangling eye, no racket, or even a hand. But I don't need one. Me arm's more useful without it, 'cause the blade-like spike at its end can slip into a rupture in me chest plate, allowing me to prise it open more. McEnroe! Nora's voice reaches me, and I wonder how I can hear it, until I notice she's now standing at the sidelines, wringing her manicured hands and shooting me daggers. All right, Nora, come to applaud? Thwack! The ball hits me square on the forehead and busts me metal skull like an overripe melon, knocking me flat on me back to spill blood and brains on the lawn. 40 love. If you can't beat the heat, take a seat in the street for Tenise. Me vision flickers. Me few remaining nerve-ending scream. I grimace, but ignore the pain. I need to concentrate on what I'm doing before Tenise finishes me off. If not with a ball, then another of those god-awful poems. What are you doing? I hear Nora shout, as me left-hand side armor plate pops granting access to me chest. What I should have done ages ago, I managed to utter, before drawing me right arm back and stabbing its spear through me ribs. Fucking tiring, I gasp as I probe inside me chest, using me arm like a fondue fork to fish for a mallow in a vat full of thick, bloody sauce. Tenise is the knees of the bees. Tenise is chirping to the crowd, who are filling the stadium with screams and stamping their feet, not in appreciation of the spectacle before them, but in panic as they try to escape. McEnroe, have you lost your mind? You're... shit. Nora sounds closer than before, and from the corner of me dangling eye, I see her approaching. Good. She's gonna want to witness this, the termination of me contract, and the literal extraction of me heart. Me bio-organic heart with the atomic core, installed in place of me real one to keep pace with the robots. It comes out through broken ribs on the end of me arm, which has pierced it with its spear-like, jagged tip, causing it to vibrate and hum. You wanted me to make your girl famous? Mike, your heart's ruptured. It's not safe. Tenise serves up treats with techniques. I'll make her feckin' famous. Mother Hub, stand down. Tell Tenise to stand. Thwack. She must have said, down. But nobody heard it. Tenise's ball collides with the volatile heart I'm holding out at 250 miles an hour. And as me regrets, and me remain in humanity, and me misguided, stubborn as fuckness go all up in flames, I finally find myself peace, content in the hopes that Tenise and 10NIS won't survive today's PR disaster. How do you like that for a comeback from the Catacombs? I open my bloodshot eyes and watch the shadows dance from the flickering torches hanging on the cold, dripping bricks. My legs and buttocks are numb, but I can't deny the annoying sensation coming from my right hallux. I see a pair of tiny red eyes looking up at me. My mind screams in silent terror as a piece of flesh is torn from just below my curved toenail. The rats are unrelenting in their quest for flesh. My long tenure in this malicious prison has eroded the cobblestone floor. Thick iron chains keep me anchored to the ground. And in this madness of delirium, not one soul can hear my screams. The moisture seeps into my skin, and words from my captors echo through my disillusioned conscience. You will beg for death in the end. For the past 2 years, my body has been rotting away, or at least, I think it's been that long. One tends to lose track of time when your freedom has been shackled. It's hard to discern reality from illusion. The mind creates walls to shield itself from unnecessary damage, but only after your psyche is shredded and hanging by a thread. Oh, the irony. I rub my lanky fingers down the ridges of my shirtless sternum until I reach the white, tattered rags tied around my bony hips. There, I find my salvation. A forgotten photograph the wretches missed during their extensive searches upon my arrival here. Seeing the brittle paper in the roaming light makes my lips curl upward. Ah, my beautiful Reina. Her exquisite cocoa eyes pierce my soul, and her soft red lips ignite a fire in my heart. Those tender sparks of love have kept my lungs expanding. I extend my trembling index finger and stroke her long black hair. Her skin, a sparkling diamond in the darkness. I remember the first time I laid eyes on my beautiful Reina. She sat beside me in English literature when I attended the University of Boston. I dropped my pencil, and she graciously dipped down to grab it for me. When our eyes met, I knew she was the one. The peace I felt told my soul there was no other woman for me. It was like coming home to a warm hearth. My universe exploded into a trillion shining stars, and the best part, she felt it too. Our wedding was filled with family, friends, and happiness. We said our personal vows and cried a river of tears. When it rained at the reception, we couldn't wait to dance in the deluge. As the cool droplets soaked our clothes and flowed down our bodies, we were reborn as one. Alas, the conflicts of a raging war in the Middle East pulled me away from Reyna when I was drafted by the military. We had our hopes set on having a baby, but those plans had to be postponed. Of course, Reyna supported me all the way, but I didn't want to leave her side. The training I had to endure was difficult, but I found solace in Reyna's love letters. I would receive one every week, and I, in turn, would send my love through the wire. We longed for the chaos to be over, so we could resume our lives. It was midwinter when the letters stopped through no fault of our own. I was placed on a secret mission with a group of 12 soldiers to infiltrate the enemy stronghold to seize top-secret files on a nuclear weapon. Everything was going smoothly until Captain Ziggy tripped an alarm on our way out of the complex. And needless to say, we were captured. I can imagine the pain and worry my dearest Reyna had to deal with, because I felt it too. How many oceans has she cried? Sergeant Radagon tortured us for days and wanted to know why we were there and who we were working for. I wouldn't say a word, not even when they threatened to cut my tongue out. Thank goodness it didn't come to that, but I fear my time is running out. One by one, the cries of my fellow comrades grew silent until I was the last man standing. A second pair of elongated teeth biting my peripheral nerve remind me of the horrific reality I find myself in. I shuffle my feet and watch the mangy rodents scatter. I hear the weary sound of boots stomping toward me and take a deep, shuddering breath. A robust man with great authority steps into my view, holding a brown bowl and a lit torch. It's Sergeant Radagon. My dinner has arrived. Hungry Godwin, you'll need your strength to endure the pain to come, because I'm not finished with you yet. My questions will be answered. With that, the sweaty man tosses the bowl at me. The smell of molded oatmeal tickles my nostrils and makes my nose hairs retreat in defeat. My skin crawls like 1,000 insects searching for a new home. As Radagon leaves with a deep chuckle, I cup my hands and scoop what I can. The taste is horrible, but it will give me the energy to do what I must. I wait for darkness to come and know this from the stampede above my head. The guards are more active during the day. At night, they're all but absent. I glance at Raina's picture and remember the first time we kissed. We were walking at the Pittsburgh Zoo when Raina stumbled on a stray rock. I caught her before she hit the ground, and as our eyes met, we pressed our lips together. The planet's axis spun loose and found a new home in us. Those were happy times, and my soul aches for more precious memories. But there will be time for that later. Right now, I have work to do. I put her picture back into the rags they call my clothes, and wait. A sudden tickle disturbs my sleeping toes. The rats are back. I watch tiny red eyes and long whiskers flicker around my feet. When I feel teeth stab my skin, I lean forward and snatch the intruder with my bare hands. I hold the rat to the flickering light and wince at the terrified squeals. Well, my little friend, I'm sorry about this, but there is no other way. Crack! I snap the rat's neck and let the blood paint the shackles around my wrists. I've grown quite skinny, so all I needed was a little lubrication. After tossing the rodent to the side, I work my hands back and forth until I'm free from the bonds. I gently lay the lynx on the floor and stand. My joints pop like snapping twigs, but I ignore the pain. My muscles forgot what it was like to stand. The chains kept me anchored to the floor with little slack where I had to sleep in my own filth. The pain feels great. It reminds me I'm alive. In the corner of my eye, I see a rumbling mound growing in the dark corner. I reach to the wall and grab a torch. Casting a glow, I see 100 rats eating their fallen friend. They don't appreciate the light and hiss at me. You nasty fiends! I use the uneven bricks in the wall as a crutch until I reach a narrow corner. I realize now, more than ever, that this catacomb is a maze. The light reveals a horde of rats in every direction. How can there be so many? The smell of rotting flesh mixed with rancid sewage makes me vomit. I have my answer. The rodents are quick to clean up the mess, and I use the opportunity to move further into the abyss. About halfway down the corridor, the jugular veins in my neck throb in protest. The confined space spins to mock me, and my heart drops like a bowling ball. I close my eyes and reach for Raina's photo. Through the slits of my peripheral view, I see my angel. My mind ventures back to the first time we made love. We were nervous. The fact that we were saving ourselves for that moment still amazes me. I remember the warm blanket of peace and understanding that enveloped us. Our fears were eroded away, and even though we had no clue about what we were doing, our instincts and passions led the way. as we became one. That journey met a happy, climatic ending and marked the beginning of our sexual revolution. It was all about trust in ourselves and each other. I place Raina's picture back into my loincloth and smile. Through uncertain circumstances, we always find a way to keep going. We need to believe in ourselves. I must get back to her. With renewed motivation, I place one foot in front of the other and wobble through the wavy light. The rodents hound my every step. As long as the flame burns bright, the little monsters keep their distance. I weave through the dark labyrinth, only to find more rats chewing on the carcasses of people who would never be identified. I wonder if any of them were my fellow soldiers. Rounding another bin, I hear a clanking sound and quickly discover a bald man anchored to the wall with boils all over his skin. Please, help me. I narrow my eyes and ask, "What's wrong with you? Are you diseased?" "No. I need the light to shine upon my skin once more, and all my ailments will be cured." I wave my torch up and down his flabby skin and see a spider burrow into one of the pustules. I take a few steps back and grab my heart. Good heavens, what madness is this? In my hasty retreat, I rush by another torch and inadvertently erase the flame. It was the only light shining on the plagued man. With the fire gone, I hear his screams first. "No! Get them off me! Help!" The sound of 100 scampering paws makes me cringe. As the rats eat the man's tarnished flesh, I turn away and take no pleasure in this madness. My journey must continue. I whisk around another corner and see a dangling man with a hollow chest. I extend the torch and gasp. It's Captain Ziggy. He looks like he was left to starve to death. I poke his arm, and an army of hungry rats storm out from the hole in his sternum. I withdraw quickly and fumble for Raina's picture. I need her inspiration now more than ever. The memory of buying our house washes over my trembling mind. That small 2-story shack needed a lot of work, and I didn't want to bother with it. Raina told me the foundations were strong, and that's all that mattered. We worked hard to rebuild everything and made that place a home. It was a castle fitting for a king and queen. Faith, love, determination, hard work, and willpower were all we needed. I replace the keepsake with renewed vigor, bite my lower lip, and trudge on. After what seems like an endless journey, I stop when I see a staircase down a long, curvy hallway, bathed in light. It's the exit. A dozen skeleton bodies line the walls like Halloween decorations, and I wonder what wicked fate they must have encountered to deserve deaths like that. I take out Raina's picture once more and kiss it. My sweet angel, if I can reach the light, if I can escape this hellish prison, I will be in your arms again. Please, give me the strength. A distant memory slaps my face. Raina and I went rock climbing in the Appalachian Mountains, and I remember coming to a gap I couldn't cross. Raina, being the fearless warrior, tossed her rope across the chasm and swung across. She urged me to do the same, which I did, but it took a lot of coaxing. You can do it, my love. I harnessed her encouragement and made it in the end. Nothing is impossible as long as you have love and courage. As I step forward, I see thousands of rats in the darkness. A sea of hungry ruby eyes yearning for me to make a wrong move. I glance at my torch and see the cherry embers growing dull. I don't think the flames will carry me through this nightmare. If only Raina was here to toss me a rope. You can do it, my love. Raina's words ignite a new fire in my gut. The time for thinking is over. If I toss the torch and run for the bright staircase, I might make it out of here. Here goes nothing. I will get back to you, my sweet Raina. I throw the torch to the middle of the hallway and watch the rats scatter like flies. My legs scream in holy agony as I run for the staircase. I don't look at the menacing creatures, but my ears can't deny their screeching protests. My eyes stay locked on the prize ahead. And as I reach the top of the staircase, the light stabs my eyes like a million suns. The toxic fumes of nicotine smoke pierce my lungs like a sharp spear. Well, where do you think you're going? Have you come to give me some answers? I know the voice well. It belongs to the man who killed my fellow soldiers, Sergeant Radagon. I keep my mouth shut, and while I can't see much, I can tell his face is flushed like a red tomato. Wait, it's not a tomato. It's a cigarette. Ah, now I will burn out your eyes for trying to escape. I shuffle my feet to the side as the hot cherry comes closer to my pupils and hear a raging ruckus as Radagon trips on my blistered feet and crashes down the stairs. He lands in the middle of the hallway where my dying torch screams its last breath. The red eyes are ever watchful, and the next thing I hear is a blood-curdling shriek of horror as the rats eat him alive. I pull out Raina's picture and smile, because I know my beloved wife is waiting for me with open arms. As the sound of 1,000 chomping mouths echo in the abyss, I stumble out from the catacombs and into the light. Tallow. I spotted the village from the train window. It emerged from gray fields, its houses crooked upon the short slope of a hillside. Tallow, that was its name, possessed a certain Tenise, as if it longed to be forgotten. A manor, with its many wings and porticos, loomed over the houses from the hill's peak. There were few signs of life when I exited the train. No one walked the streets, and all the curtains were closed. It stunk of old cabbages and sulfur. In the distance, children played, but no school or playground existed in the village. The hotel keeper was asleep when I entered, her chin slumped upon her chest. A pair of reading glasses, hanging from a string of pearl-like beads, rested upon her chest. I felt rude ringing the bell, but even when I did, it took several trills until she woke up. She weighed me with a single glance. "You're the guest," she said. "I should hope so," I said. Immediately, I regretted the joke. She slid the key across the reception desk with disdain. "There's no breakfast now," she said. "You'll have to wait till later if you want to eat anything." In the lobby, the rack was dense with coats and hats, boots lined up alongside the wall. Despite this, while climbing the stairs and searching through the labyrinthine corridors for my room, I heard no one. Aside from myself, the hotel was unoccupied. My room was the bare minimum: a single bed, a wardrobe for 3 shirts at best, and a portrait, sun-stained, of some once green forest. I had come away to write, and for the first 3 mornings, this was what I did. After consuming a breakfast of runny eggs and bacon, cooked up reluctantly by the hotel keeper, I came upstairs and sat for an hour at my desk, doing little of anything, before heading out for a walk. Usually, I would arrive back in time for lunch. Then I would try again to write, fail, somehow more miserably, and head out for yet another walk. At first, my walks avoided the manor on the hill. I walked instead through the dead fields surrounding Tallow, seeing little more than a few bony horses and the occasional abandoned tractor. A drought had been scouring the south for some months. Occasionally, in the far distance, you would see someone standing outside their house, hands on hips, looking towards the cloudless sky. It seemed you could not get away from the manor wherever you walked. Its windows followed you across fields and into woods, over streams and up hills. As time wore on, my walks seemed to draw closer to it, until I trespassing upon the grounds themselves. Once, just once, I spotted the groundskeeper, a huge man, a whole head taller than me, with a bag of suet over his shoulder. He nodded with a gnarled intensity and dumped down the bag. I hurried on. "Who owns the house on the hill?" I asked the hotel keeper one morning. She frowned and placed down the breakfast. Then she sat opposite me, as if this question could not be answered standing. "That's the Macintoshes," she said. "Rufus, Cordelia, I forget the names of the twins. What do they do?" "They own Tallow," she said. "The town?" "Yes." At night, I began to hear the growl of a motor car. It started in the distant hills, grew closer and closer, then ripped past the window and howled off into the night. The sound seemed larger than the village itself, as if I could place my arm out of the window and feel the very air vibrating. I soon found myself waiting for it by the window. I finally spotted the car on the 4th night, its headlights beaming down through the country lanes like twin stars before illuminating the village in sheer white light. It sped past, a dark green beetle of a car, its hood down, and its driver guiding it confidently, almost arrogantly, with a single hand, his other splayed across the passenger seat. "Who was that?" I asked the hotel keeper after returning from my walk the next day. "Rufus," she said, and shook her head as if I should know this by now. "He's in one of those moods." The hotel possessed a single cramped bar, really no more than a cupboard stocked with alcohol. The hotel keeper would stand in there, usually, from 3 until 5, and then again from 7 until 9. I came in from my walk, and for once, she was not alone. A voice, filled with the hearty opulence of the British countryside, filled the room. "A guest," it said. "My boy, come into the light. Let's get a look at you. We haven't seen a guest in years." The voice belonged to a man sitting before a glass of whiskey. He smiled broadly, revealing graying gums and a vast set of crooked, yellowing teeth. He had on a tweed waistcoat, its top sprinkled with dandruff. Almost immediately, I did not want to be in his company. "What brings you to Tallow?" he said. "I came to write," I said. I hated that I said this, but something about his manner meant I could not lie. "Excellent," he said. "Most excellent. You will return to the city with many splendid poems detailing our beautiful town, its beautiful countryside, its..." I waited, but he said no more. "Certainly," I said at last. He smiled, clenching his teeth together so that they may be admired. "I won't detain you long," he said. "The muse calleth, the blank page beckon. All of that, thank you," I said, and turned to go. He held up a finger. "There is one more thing, if I can say, and this will be awfully forward of me. But you look to have the most wonderfully soft hands. It would be a pleasure to me if I could touch them." I remained in the doorway. "Come on," he said. "Come closer." Something in me, politeness, let's call it, compelled me across the room. I held out my hand to him. He took a sip of whiskey and placed the glass meaningfully down. Then he leaned close to inspect my hands. The dim lights shone upon his moist lips. With calloused fingertips, he traced slow, gut-wrenching circles across my palm. "Yes," he said, "lovely." He pushed my hand back towards me, as if returning it. "Thank you," he said, and he gave me one last awful look at his teeth to remember him. "It's Rufus McIntosh, by the way," he said, as if I had not already sensed this fact. In my room, I ran my hand under hot water and scrubbed it with soap until it began to ache. No matter how long I worked for, I could not seem to get it clean. I noticed on the doorsteps of the village a set of tawny, whittled dolls. Many wore dresses or waistcoats. I expected the children of the village, who, still, I could hear playing in the distance, would steal these dolls. but that did not appear to occur. At the hotel, the keepers had a tiny straw bonnet, which she adjusted so it sat askew on the doll's head. A day after I met Rufus McIntosh in the hotel bar, I discovered a crow outside of my door. Dead, obviously, with both wings removed and crammed into a shoebox. The scent of rotting flesh had penetrated my room while I wrote. When I finally stepped outside, the stench overwhelmed me, and I hurled my guts into the toilet bowl. Downstairs, when I had finally gathered myself, I told the hotel keeper about the bird I had found. I tossed the shoebox onto the counter. She eyed it with a certain melancholy. "That can't be helped," she said. "Can't be helped? What do you mean, it can't be helped?" "It's just part of it." "Part of what?" "Tallow." She took the shoebox and placed it under the desk. She sighed. "I suppose you'll be wanting a discount." Nothing I wrote seemed to stick. If I wrote a sentence in the morning, I would return in the afternoon and find the words jumbled. But always when I sat down at my desk, it seemed as if I were seeing things truly for the first time, my pen moving rapidly across the paper, solving issues of consciousness and mortality with a few pithy phrases. I was enjoying my work, perhaps for the first time ever, but it seemed all I was producing was nonsense. I still went for walks. Often I saw Rufus on the balcony, looking up towards the sky, attempting, it seemed, to make the heavens open through willpower alone. If he spotted me, he raised his hand in greeting and smiled. Even from some distance, I could make out his teeth. The invitation was for dinner. That night, 7 o'clock. "Bring some poetry, boy," it said in blue ink scrawled beneath the address. "Regale us." "You won't be needing supper then," the hotel keeper said when she delivered it. By the time the appointed hour came round, I was dressed in my best outfit and waiting in the hotel lobby. It felt excessively hot, and I could not get comfortable in the chair. I felt I should have left the village of Tallow at that moment and headed back to the city. But I stayed, stupidly, rashly, believing I would get some answers. I heard the purr of Rufus's motor car approaching through the country lanes. He entered the lobby, beaming. "Come on, old chap," he said. "Supper's waiting." Outside, his car puttered on the driveway. The interior was flaking leather. Rufus climbed in after me. "Let's hit the road," he said, and wrenched the mighty gear lever into position. The car growled beneath his feet. Before I could adjust my seat belt, I was thrust back into the seat as the car hurtled on towards the hill. Houses, bushes, trees, all streamed past. The wind cut viciously into my eyes. I glanced at Rufus. Tears streamed from his eyes, but he seemed to take a sinister delight in the pain. Over the howl of the engine, Rufus shouted, "Sorry about the short notice, my boy, but I heard soon you'd be leaving us." I thought you may as well see the manor before you go." "Thank you," I said. "What?" "Thank you." He cranked the gear lever once again, and with a crunching shift of his feet, the car shifted in speed and momentum to get careen around a corner. I was almost thrown through the window. "Almost there," he shouted. True enough. We arrived. The car crunching across the gravel, spitting stones from the wheels. The final stop jolted me towards the dashboard. My heart was hammering, my vision blurry. Already, he was ushering me out. "Come on," he said, glancing up at the sky. No time to waste. Cordelia awaited in a long, poorly lit room, at a table spanning almost its entire length. She sat near its head, her wheelchair pressed up against the wood, an empty plate before her. She was veiled and wore a black lace dress, incredibly intricate. Her white silk gloves, like a pair of snakeskins, sat beside the plate. Rufus came over and touched his lips to his hand. "A delight," she said, when I entered, and held out a hand for me to kiss. I could not see her face, so I could not tell her expression. But I bent to her hand and touched my lips to it. She was freezing. Her skin tasted like moss. "Please," she said, "take a seat." They sat me at the head of the table. When the first course arrived, toast with pâté, they paused, both of them, to see how I would eat it. After I began scraping the paste across the toast, they shared a look, as if to confirm something. And then they too began spreading pâté upon their toast. "Rufus tells me that you are a writer," Cordelia said. "That is true. A fiction writer?" "Yes," I said. "He's really very good," Rufus said, mouthful, flecks of toast on his teeth. "I have read all of his books. I, of course, had never published a book. In truth, I was a really very unsuccessful writer. It was, at best, a hobby to me. You have the right shape of cranium for it," Cordelia said. "And you have inquisitive eyes. I suspect you are rather good at water sports as well." I did not know if that was true or not. Rufus gave a little chuckle. "This is my wife," he said. "A scientist, always working away in her laboratory, tinkering, delving deep. Truly, it is all beyond me." "I must read your earlobe," she said. I suspected it was perhaps the wine and a slightly empty stomach. But this idea, which normally would have filled me with horror, felt sound. Before I knew it, the second course was arriving. It was mozzarella and tomatoes. But the tomatoes were unripe and gave way with soggy ease. When I ate them, I am too polite. They had already turned tart. The mozzarella I dared not touch. This did not stop the Macintoshes devouring their meal, though. They ate as if they had been starving for days, often foregoing their knives and forks and using their hands to push the food into their mouths. Come the end of the course, Rufus had tomato juice down his chin, and the hands of Cordelia were spotted with food. "Your earlobe?" Cordelia said, tapping on the table. "I wish to inspect it." "My apologies," Rufus said. "I suspect this is all a ruse. I told her you had the most perfectly soft hands." I laid my cheek upon the table. She wished to look at the right earlobe. The left, she said, was often a liar. I felt safe doing this for some reason. It was around then that I noticed I felt entirely safe altogether, that the feelings of anxiety and turmoil that had accompanied me prior to the trip had dissipated, that, in fact, the anxiety and turmoil that had haunted my whole life had flown away as well. I focused upon the fingers tracing my ear and felt almost bliss. I smiled at Rufus, and he smiled back, innocently back. "You are beginning to enjoy it then," he said. "Yes," I said. "I think I am." It was at that moment that Cordelia leaned suddenly forward and, clamping her teeth forcefully down on my ear. Before I could speak, she'd bitten through the bone and swallowed it whole. I passed out. How could you not? When I woke, my left ear was gone. A patch of bloody flatness remained. They stored me in the barn, alone. Once a day, the groundskeeper arrived with my feed. He pushed the bucket through the feed slot and waited for me to eat, sitting, smoking, watching. When I was done, he took the bucket. He felt sorry for me, he said, his voice a low growl. "Then let me out," I said, but he shook his head. "In time," he said. "A few moons." He looked skywards, nodded once. In the nights, I dug at the ground to the back of my cell. The dirt was dry and rough. After an hour, my hands were bloody from the effort. I lost nails, turned my hands black, but did not stop digging. Eventually, I was able to tunnel under the boundary wall, pull myself under and out. A pair of purple bruises, shaped like kidneys, still adorn my hips. I fled into the night. Though Tallow glowered below, I did not trust the locals any longer. I found safety in the trunk of a fallen tree and sheltered there for a night. They hunted me, Rufus's motor car tearing through the countryside, its lights emerging over the crests of hills and sending a searching white cone into the darkness. I emerged come dawn, lacking sleep, and hobbled on, my stomach growling. Eventually, I came to a new town, a new hotel, and managed to persuade them to let me stay. How disheveled I must have looked standing in their foyer, with my ear lost and my clothes bloodied. They provided me with a small, ill-outfitted room. That night, in the cramped confines of a single bed, I heard the howling of the car again. I left, once again, before dawn. It went like this for several days, me finding some place to camp, Rufus pursuing. I was heading, vaguely, for London. Still am, really. Though there is no knowing of when I shall arrive, given my kinking and arduous passage through the quiet country towns. There have been times when Rufus has grown close. I have spotted his car outside of various hotels, parked on the roadside gates while he stalks across an empty field. I know, inevitably, he will catch me. When, however, is undetermined. Despite this, every night, I dream of Tallow. Not nightmares, but a kind of strange nostalgic reverie. I wonder if there is a part of me that wishes to be caught. Perhaps there is that part in all of us. Perhaps that is why, an hour or so before bed, I unlatch the window and leave it open. Just a crack, just an inch, so that while I sleep, anyone may enter. Team meeting, 10 a.m., 1 hour. Happy Monday, everyone, Suzanne burbled. Emma used a good deal of restraint and avoided rolling her eyes. A small victory. Her poker face was getting better. Now everyone got the agenda. So first up, we have some housekeeping items. First, congratulations to Melinda on her 6-year work anniversary. Emma dutifully hit the applause reaction button. Then the celebration reaction button. Then, finally, the heart reaction button. She watched as everyone else hit various reaction buttons. Poor Melinda. 6 years was a long time to cosplay an office worker. Melinda was actually cool, though. She once told Emma a knock-knock joke she had come up with. They had just welcomed a new woman to the group, the third Jennifer on their team. Knock, knock, she said. Who's there? Jennifer. Jennifer who? Jennifer. Probably. They laughed and agreed that you could probably just decide to call everyone Jennifer and be right a reasonable percentage of the time. Did everyone really just decide that they should all name their daughters Jennifer for a few years there? Or what? Some kind of mass hysteria caused by fluoride in the water or something? She watched a last few heart animations on the screen fade. Someone put a GIF in the chat of a duck saying, "Conquaculations." She hated herself for chuckling at it. What was happening to her? She privately messaged Melinda, "Wow, get me the duck out of here." Melinda appended a laughing face to her message. She wrote back, "Right? This whole thing is bringing me down." Goofy face emoji with tongue sticking out, Suzanne went on. Next, I want to remind everyone that self-reviews are due on Friday. Now, I'd really prefer that our team gets them in early. So please, aim for Wednesday, everyone. Don't make me come looking for you. She raised her hand like someone wielding a knife. Because I'll do it. She laughed. A few people tittered in a tired kind of way. Jen, too, frowned a little and looked uncomfortable. She usually had a pretty sour look, but Frank threw his head back and laughed and laughed. His screen froze for a moment, and he looked absolutely insane. It unfroze, and he sat there grinning. Frank. She wasn't keen on him, but didn't despise him or anything. He sat there with too many teeth showing, wearing one of the corporate t-shirts. It had the Sinbiquity logo, a globe inside a heavy square box, with the one-word sentence, winning, underneath. Wow, if she ever assimilated that hard, she hoped someone would put a pillow over her face while she slept. Now, once you complete your self-review, your manager will complete their review, and then you'll meet to discuss. She messaged Melinda again. Ugh, just kill me now. Melinda sent back a gif of Jack Nicholson breaking through the bathroom door in The Shining. She wrote, exceeding expectations. Ha! Emma laughed. She and Melinda smirked at each other on camera and stifled laughs. A self-review. Pfft. Why would you ever say anything other than, I am knocking it out of the effing park? What else could you possibly say? Emma should work on not rolling her eyes so much in meetings. Emma should also try being, just all around, a little more chipper. Emma should contribute more gifts in meetings. Maybe you should just effing fire Emma. She smirked a little, then caught herself. Self-review. So absurd. She'd lost the thread of the meeting, but knew it wouldn't matter. She heard Suzanne say something about sweets? No, the C-suite. Oh, God. What now? So, John wants everyone to take an extra training on the core values this quarter. He feels that not everyone is making those their priority. Ah, yes. The core values. What were they again? They all started with the letter I. Integrity, ideas, and what was the last one? Idiocy? She stifled a laugh. Suzanne was running through them now. Remember the 3 I's. Integrity, innovation, involvement. Oh yeah, involvement. Ha. The 3 I's. There are 3 I's in the word inimitable, and indignity, and invisible. If only she was invisible. If only she could just turn her camera off for a bit. She zoned out and doodled a fuzzy little monster with 3 eyes on her Sinbiquity notepad. She started drawing flames around the monster's feet and stuck a little pitchfork in its fuzzy hand. She drew in silhouettes of little cowering people below the monster. Then she drew a word balloon and wrote, "Innovate, damn you," inside it. Wow, time was really dragging. She opened her calendar to check whether this was a half-hour or an hour meeting. Oh no, a full hour. she wasn't listening to Suzanne and thought it would be funny to actually turn her volume off. Could she pretend to listen well enough to get by? Probably. She turned the volume off. She sat there, watching Suzanne speak. A few others nod. She nodded a little as well. Fascinating. Oh yes, I fully agree. Yes, yes. Absolutely. Yes, you're so right. Her screen got a little pixelated for a moment, froze up, and the color shifted darker. Ha! Suzanne looked like some weird demon for a moment. A trick of the messed up pixels. Oh, too bad. Now the picture was clear again. But Suzanne was showing them all something now, and was gesticulating with her hands. She turned up the volume in time to hear, "How we shall summon our master, and how he shall know us." What? The duck? Suzanne continued showing them a complicated set of hand gestures. She stopped, and her eyes rolled back in her head for a moment. Was she making that weird noise too? Like a crackly N sound that got louder and softer with her hand movements. She finished a series of complex hand contortions. Then she began again. A few people were half-heartedly trying to copy her. Frank seemed to be getting it, and now he was doing it with her. They contorted their hands in a strangely herky-jerky manner, pulling back 2 fingers on one hand with the other hand, now fluttering both hands, using one hand like a claw over the other, bunched up fist. How could he learn it that fast? What was this? Some kind of crazy team-building exercise? Suddenly, Suzanne said sharply, "Emma!" She jumped a little in her chair. Then Suzanne and Frank said together, "Why aren't you participating, Emma?" They continued the complex hand movements. Now it looked like Elise was managing to do it exactly in sync with Suzanne and Frank as well. Emma unmuted her microphone and said, "Oh, I was just trying to watch until I felt I could jump in." Suzanne and Frank and Elise said together, "Just do it. Do it now." She held up her hands and flopped them around a little. Wow, Frank and Elise really drank the Kook-Aid fast, didn't they? This was a very strange meeting. But scanning her co-workers on the screen, they all seemed to find it normal. Dull in its usualness, in fact. Suzanne, Frank, and Elise continued the weird hand movements, encouraging the others to try to follow them. Jake seemed to be getting the hang of it as well, although his square on the screen was so dark, it was hard to tell for sure. Melinda waved her hands ineffectually. Walter and Jen, too, were doing the movements, just a few moments after the others, but actually seemed to be working on learning them. Emma put on the raised hand button. "Yes, Emma, you have a question," Suzanne said. She unmuted her microphone. "Yes, I don't understand the point of this exercise? Is this supposed to be team building or something? Oh, yes, said Suzanne. It's definitely team building. Emma frowned. Was Suzanne having some kind of mental break? She went to message Melinda privately, but couldn't enter anything in the chat window. Ugh, now what? Emma watched Suzanne's hands going through their complicated set of gestures. It was kind of mesmerizing. Emma roused herself. Had she fallen asleep in the meeting? She couldn't have. She checked the time. It didn't seem to have advanced at all. But outside, it seemed to be growing dark. How long had they been in this meeting now? She looked at her co-workers in their small square cells. Suzanne, Frank, Elise, and Jen, too, continued doing the hand motions. Some of the others were now sitting away from their desks, a few in the far corners of their rooms. Mary was almost entirely off-screen, but you could still see a piece of her red sweater and her hand, a red line on the right-hand side of her screen, and her twitching fingers coming in and out of view. Walter was standing facing the wall, not moving. It was pretty creepy, actually. It was time to get the hell out of Dodge, she thought. She clicked on the leave button. Nothing happened. She hit the escape key. Nothing. She tried to close the laptop, but it seemed to be stuck open somehow. Control, Alt, Delete. Nothing. She stood up from her chair, intent on leaving the room. She crossed to the door and reached out for the doorknob, and found herself on the other side of the room, still walking forward. What? She tried again. This time, when she got to the door, she reached out her hand, but the doorknob was very hot. It burned her hand with an audible sizzle. She pulled her hand back with a yelp. She put her burnt fingers in her mouth for a moment, sobbing a little. She went to the windows of her home office and tried to open one, even though she was on the second floor. It wouldn't budge. She grabbed her chair, thinking she would smash it through a window. She couldn't lift it off the ground. It was as if the wheels were heavily magnetized to the floor. She sat back down in her chair, shoulders slumping. She looked at the screen again. Suzanne, Frank, Elise, and Jen, too, were sitting facing their cameras, smiling and continuing the strange hand movements. She closed her eyes for a moment. She thought, is nobody going to say it? She straightened and looked around the room wildly. She put on the raised hand icon and pretended to sit patiently for a moment. Yes, Emma, she said to herself. You have a comment? Crazy laughter bubbled up inside her, but she caught it in her throat and swallowed hard instead. We can't leave here. We are in some kind of twisted trap. Is this hell? I mean, it sure seems like hell, all right. A never-ending meeting. Nobody answered her. One person hit the applause reaction. We need to do something. Call someone. Pull the plug on our computers, maybe? How long will it take the batteries to die? Melinda, look at me. Melinda raised her face to the camera. Her face had 4 red lines on each side, where she had repeatedly clawed her fingers down her face. She seemed to stare directly at Emma, mouthing some words over and over. Mel. Emma put her head down on her arms and cried. Suzanne finally said brightly, "Okay, we've heard from Emma." Frank and Elise mouthed the same words as she said them, nodding. Now, if nobody else has any off-topic items, let's get back to the agenda. Interrupted. Her eyes popped open. Someone had their lips on her mouth, kissing her. Okay. Kissing. She let her eyes drift shut to enjoy the sensation. It must be her mate. What? Wait. No. It can't be. She had the overwhelming need to cough. She couldn't help it. She coughed, turned her head to the side, and coughed. And ew. That had to be a turn-off. She spewed out even more. Poor fellow, trying his best to make passionate love to her, coming in again to close his mouth around hers, just got spit on instead. He turned her towards him and patted her back. There you go, Your Highness. Good job. Keep spitting it out. You're coming around now. You'll be fine. Good. Good. She kept coughing and sputtering. What? Why? Who are you? What are you trying to do to me? Why are you kissing me? Get away from me. You can't be. She raised her arm to take a swing at his smoochy face, but he was faster and already had a firm grip on her wrist and had it under control. You are okay now. Take some deep breaths. I am trying to save your life, giving you my own breath. You swallowed an ocean and wasn't breathing. Keep spitting it out. Good. Good. Who are you and why are you out of uni? Why are you out of any... I thought you needed it more than myself at the moment. Seems you lost most all? She looked down at herself, seeing only a flimsy sheet covering her nearly naked body. That means he must have seen her. All of her. Maybe we can discuss this after I try to save his life. He pointed at a lifeless-looking body nearby. She tried to watch as he bent over the body and started making kissy sounds over and over again. She thought he must be trying to force air into the man's lungs, exactly as he must have been administrating to her lips. She brought trembling fingers to her lips, remembering the connection. Not unpleasant at all. Life-saving. That was different. She tried to move closer, but pain shot through her, and a whelp of agony escaped her involuntarily. She felt like something was tying her down. His eyes shot towards her. "Don't try to move yet, until I can see how bad your injury is. One thing at a time, please, Your Highness." He proceeded with his fruitless task. Think. What happened? Where were they? How did they get here? Was that her lover he was working on? Her mate? She didn't see how it could be so. He didn't survive. The coupling, did he? No. Not one ever had before. She strained to see whatever she could around where she lay on her back. Everything looked out of context. Something had gone terribly wrong for them to wind up here, wherever this could be. As leader, she was the one who should be leading. But how when she couldn't move? And why couldn't she move? What had happened? How many other survivors were there? Only 3? 2, if the hapless gent didn't start responding soon. Shouldn't he be responding by now? How safe were they laying here? Were there predators lurking nearby? Her breathing quickened. She must conserve her energy. Wait. Just wait for his help. She took some deep breaths, trying to get the pain to subside. And remember. She must remember. Why couldn't she remember? He sidled back to her side. "I'm afraid my efforts are to no avail. He was too far gone. I can't bring him back. I am so sorry. Now, if I may, I must attend to your condition." She squeezed her eyes tightly shut. I don't know what to say. Who was he? Do you know? You mean you don't remember? Yes, of course. I knew him well. We were working together, really. What is your position? Why don't I recognize you? You took a mighty fall. You've suffered a blow to the head and other injuries. It is no wonder your memory is fuzzy. Relax and trust me to administer to you how I must, and perhaps it will all come back to you. Don't worry. We will get to know each other very well. He started soothing her head, then moved downward, down toward her swollen abdomen, and kept massaging and what felt like stitching with ever so soft silkiness over the sore spots. It was easing her anxiety, so she let her vision drift upwards. There above was... What was that up there? Was it night or day? Something way above was blocking out the light source. It seemed heavy, with intricately crossed sections, creating a structure for support. She was peering at the underside, the side that was decorated with shimmery, delicate webs. Webs? Yes, webs. Her queendom of webs. That's where she fell from. That's where she belonged. It was all coming back to her. Betrayal. Her lover. Her chosen mate. Every detail was well planned. He had brought her an enticing offering of soft-bellied beetle. They had started enjoying it together. She was willing to share. She was no longer ravishingly hungry. He entertained her with a skillful courtship dance. He had been so good-looking and such a virile choice. She had no intention of cutting the ritual short. It was going to be an awesome night of mutual copulation, maybe even multiple times. They were both going to get lucky. She was looking forward to it being so sublime, so fulfilling. She was bulging with a ripe egg sac, perfectly spun, and all that was needed was his speedy sperm, and the deed would be complete. The pheromones were reading ready, and she was welcoming his pedipalps to unfurl within her. Suddenly, a piercing stab to her hourglass figure jolted her and made her lose her grip, causing them both to spiral down into a great abyss, ending in murky blackness, gasping for breath beneath a watery grave. If not for this lifesaver, this pale, skinny wannabe. No, you are no lifesaver. My survival senses failed. They should have warned stranger danger. You are the one that pierced my center. You're the one that caused our fall. Ah, I see. Even with half your brain eaten, you are beginning to remember. Yes, I am but a puny, pale male. But we males all have an instinctive drive to pass on our unique DNA to a new generation. I find myself extremely drawn to an older, more voluptuous female specimen, such as yourself. The chance for one like me to attract one of your royal class and desirability is near impossible. Much more probability I would be eaten for trying. I could have resorted to the suicide, sacrificial effort of simply throwing myself directly into your waiting maw while delivering my seed to your quivering underbelly epigynum. At least my legacy would live on. No. Instead, I chose to work with Mr. Big Strong Brown Body and let him take the risk of your rejection and act as a distraction for him. He was actually faring pretty well for a first-timer. He was ready to take the plunge before I rudely interrupted and beat him to the punch, so to speak. So, yes, my pretty, it is my heritage your precious sack will carry. I will guard it with my life now, after I hoist it back to the rafters above. I assure you, the coitus has been captivating. The bonds that bind your legs have obviously left you spellbound. Strictly a self-preservation tactic. I have plugged your riveting receptors so no other male can have the pleasure. But it wouldn't matter anyway. Your lover's guts gave me the fortitude to get you prepped. Now, I'll have to devour you, my sweet, to have the nourishment necessary to complete the hefty job before me. I admit mating with you has provided ecstasy beyond compare. I will cherish the memory. Once I'm finished wrapping our fertile sac in silk for transport, I'll dive into your attractive red hourglass figure to feast on that tasty, shiny black buffet of bulbous abdomen you brandish about so temptingly. Sure, I stalked you. I wanted you. You would have devoured me. I planned. I betrayed a friend. And I have been victorious. So sorry, Your Highness. But what would you expect in this mate-eat-mate world of ours? Suddenly interrupted, a tiny finger pointed their way. Do you? Daddy, what is it? Screamed a little girl carrying a pink child-sized fishing pole to her father as she sludged through the muck in her purple polka-dot goulashes under the bridge, heading toward their favorite fishing spot along the river. Looks like a nasty black widow spider, sweetheart. We don't want that around here. Daddy smashed the heel of his boot down on the unfortunate, melodramatic scene unfolding on the bank and twisted it all into the mud. The twisted end. Oh, mother, please send my father across. It was all a dream. Merle's breath like rotten fish on top of her tongue. The balled-up, gray, dead mass of it settled at the back of her throat like stale phlegm. His beady, stained tongue wriggling around on top of her tongue. His hand under her blouse, fumbling, scratching. His nails yellow and black and green, the sight of which made her vomit. His pus-filled, bandaged hand on top of her breast, the nail digging into her nipple, the dirt in his nails mixing with her blood. In her blood. The blood cool in the thick heat of the dark room, sweet, mixing with the scent of the vomit dried on the floor. She had dreamt it in the night, writhing like a dying fish. A pool of yellow sweat, unable to scream for all the phlegm in her throat, the fat tongue in her mouth, the eyes in the window. The eyes were from a long ago dream. Black, a darkness darker than the black heat of the room. A self-eating darkness, turning inwards, two holes in the dark, like the memory of the snake's fangs on Amma's black skin. Two eyes watching her, watching itself. Two eyes, like holes in the heat. She could slip away, like vapor, like smoke, like the silver mist over the river. The river, black in the night, black and shining. Winking like the silt around it, silver and loose, a million glinting eyes winking in the black night. The air ripe with the sour promise of raw mangoes, teasing and winking from the branches. Among them, the glinting brown eyes, cat-like of Muna, sitting on the branch naked, his long, cat-like body shining fluorescent, blue and violet. In the dark night, "Ladki," he whispered to her. "Want a mango?" His words tinged with the stale scent of a biedi, fishy. In the river, there were fishes as small as a dot, dark and invisible, holes in the river, moving eyes. The big fish did not swim. They stared at her, their mouths sending a bubble up the surface of the water, which burst with a quiet pop, waiting for her answer. "Pop, pop, pop, Munia?" she asked. "Not ripe yet," Muna said, and laughed, revealing a scurvy mouth with wiggling teeth, like maggots. With each shake of the shoulder, a ha up and a he down, the teeth dropped down, raining like mangoes, too impatient, too ripe and restless, dropping with a pop, pop, pop. As they dropped and popped down, the night black rats gathered them up and scuttled away. An undulating, shadowy tide, whispering, an underground, mousy susurrus, like the restrained gossip, sisak, sisak, of the leaves in the night wind, conspiring. Amma had said it was rubbish, that the Aam tree was Aam, spiritless, spirits having no cravings for the mango. It was all make-believe, just whispers, conspiring. But this changed when she saw Muna's body, the penis chopped off, dangling from the tree. And now he was sitting beside it, kicking it absent-mindedly once in a while, so that it went swinging, a Sawan swing scene. Munia began to sing now, bellowing in the night, quiet. Amma, mere baba ko bhejori, ki Sawan aya. Mother, please send my father across. Now the rains have come. And with her voice, the rains came down, quiet at first, trickling down her forehead, down her back, like sweat, mixing with the sweat into a vaporous headache. But soon, as Munia's bellowing grew more hysterical, stretched and cracked, the rain gained violence, sheets after sheets crashing down on the earth. Dum-dum-dum, da-dum, da-dum-dum. There was no song in this rain, nothing sacred, no rhythm, no melody. It was the roar of primeval war drums, the shanknad breaking out of the sky's raging core, bloodthirsty, furious. The mango trees were screaming in anguish as their branches convulsed, epileptic, suicidal, wanting to break free. But the roots unyielding, circling tighter and tighter around their ankles, cutting off the blood, then cutting into the skin, circling tighter and tighter till they were bleeding. They were bleeding and screaming, their blood washed out by the rain. The earth was bleeding, pools of blood, pools of filth running down the mango grove, running down the fields, running down the streets, running down to the river, running down. She looked at Munna, hanging on to the branch, swinging in the rain, the noose getting tighter and tighter, choking, screaming out into the rain. Ama, merebaya ko bejori. She knew that the flow of the dream, the black river, with the pop-pop fish, with the mango carcasses, with the winking stars in its belligerent waters, was running down to the void, the shunya that was inside her, the void that she was made to cover with her sari and petticoat, her red bangles and black bindi, the red dye on her feet, and the toe rings which cut into her skin, the shunya that was a red field, with Amma's corpse lying among the bent-down barley, the teeth-girdled void inside her stomach, as she watched her running towards the mango grove in her shit-stained sari, the blouse torn off, running to the branch that was no longer weighed down by Muna's incomplete body, the void that no Baba, no Bhai, no Mama could cross, a bottomless pit. What could Sawan do? The shunya spelled out by the noose around Muna's neck. The shunya Murli was trying to prod with his puss-filled fingers and his puss-filled organ. The shunya that was a dream, the void that was this dream that was a void, flowing, rushing down into the night, to where the black river came to a halt at the dried-up vomit puddle, out of which she emerged into the dark room once again. Her body felt slimy, putrid, a mix of semi-digested rice, sweat, and the rotten substance of death. Murli's hands pressed tight around her neck, and her neck gave away, turning to sludge. Murli bent down and licked it up, his tongue abrasive, spiky, leaving scars for flies to lay their eggs on. Her breath started to go, and she could hear the thrashing of her heart in her ear, but she repeated to the beat of her thumping heart, "It is all a dream, a dream, a dream." It was all a dream, but it wasn't hers alone. It also belonged to Amma. It was a dream passed on to her, the only dowry Amma could muster, her inheritance. The dream belonged to Muna too. It was the dream that Amma spun out in the thick heat of the dark room, spinning and spinning, the thread of her word laced with her saliva, the strings of saliva that would purse her lips as she kept mumbling in the dark, spinning, her words indecipherable, a chant, a plea crying out into the night. Munna, Munna Munia Munia. It was the dream that Amma had spun out in the dark night, as the man whom they never called Baba filled the air of the room, humid with his sweaty appetite, heavy with his piggish grunts, filled it with the scent of his beady, which would make Munia sick, filled it with the sight of gray tufts of hair pushing out of his ears, filled it with a heaviness that sat in their stomachs for days, stones in their chests, gray, a shame that stalked them and enwrapped them, entered their bodies, evacuated their innards, rendered their guts hollow, an all-consuming parasite, till they were all sludge, putrid and shameful, wobbly and shapeless, shadows, shunya, the dream that rose above this scent, these sounds, this heaviness, a light, weightless dream that her eyes caught a glimpse of as she had stood there watching, her two eyes glinting in the window. Outside the window, Munaya and her counting the teeth that they had found this week, buried in the silt around the river, buried in the sand like shells, hollow, heavy with the weight of their own insouciance, their own lack, a self-inflicted negligence dropping out of mouths and scuttering around in the sand. Sometimes they found worms inside them, pink and white and sometimes green. They compared the shapes that they found. Munia claiming her finds to be sharper, while she rubbed hers against her thumb till it turned raw, certain of their supremacy. Sometimes she kept them in her mouth, swirled them around, the taste of dirt, metallic, sour. She sucked at them, like at the stone of the Jaman. Now, Merle's teeth shifted around in her mouth, scuttling down her tongue into her throat, tasting of gutka and anger, scuttling down her body, digging, puncturing the skin, searching for the arteries. A group of three scuttled down and lodged into her vagina. And all she could think of was the teeth around the river and the necklace of teeth Munia made for Amma. The same necklace which she ate one tooth a time after each meal, her self-prescribed medicine. Outside the window, Munia and she were watching her with a gray feeling in the pit of their stomach, as Merle laid claim to each part of her body and signed it off with the mixture of her own blood and his own dirt. Outside the window, Munia and she became two eyes, superimposed, simultaneous. One, a palimpsest of dreams and bodies and voids and eyes, melted into one. He and her, she and him, her and her, peering in at her mother and her mother, dreaming, drifting out of the window through the holes their eyes burned through the darkness, peering in at herself, the dream of I, Amma, Munia, breathing in the dark. Our bellies swell out in a rhythm, up, down, up, down. Munia is not Muna now. She won't be Muna again till morning. When morning comes, she will have to leave herself beside me, wrapped up neatly on the pillow. Leave this dream that Amma has spun for us and cross the shore. But it is still night now. Amma is telling us the story of a king who lost all his kingdom, all of whose children died at his own hand by some cruel accident of fate, all of whose wives died of grief, all of whose citizens died of the plague, and all of whose army died at war. Now, what could such a man do in this world? He wandered around the ghost of his kingdom, dreaming. Munaya and I do not believe this story. We contend that such a man should die, would die. And can't death be a dream? Amma asks. I wake up. Merle is shaking. He is done. He turns around and goes off to sleep. I look out of the window. The sun has started to come up. I repeat to myself, it is all a dream, a dream, a dream.